Hi, guys.
What?
Good morning. So,
What do you want?
You.
we're having an issue with the factory coil wire having constant power. We've been discussing it pretty much all the way through the past couple of videos, and we don't know why. So, all the wiring that we've put back into the car has been, as you can very well tell, just plug
Plug and
and
play.
play. They
basically.
only go on one way.
Unlike Scotty.
So we're going to double check this connection just to be on the safe side so that we know we are 100% correct.
If
We
Scotty
have-
punches you, I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah. So if we,
At this point, I don't
the ignition
care.
switch gets powered from the ignition side of the starter relay.
Be careful with the.
So that being said, we chased it down to Alan, thank you, the pink squishy wire going to the ignition switch, which I love that. I got to remember it.
I like things that are pink and squishy.
Maybe
So-
in 1965 it was squishy. It was very squishy right now.
Yeah, you know.
Well, you know.
So
after a couple
we're double
beers-
checking the wiring.
What?
We're double checking the wiring
I was talking about pink and squishy things.
so that we know that
You
we're
shut up.
safe and sound with what we need to do to the car to keep it and get it backed up in running condition.
Good boy.
There is an aftermarket stereo put in, which
Yeah,
goes directly
Pioneer.
to here.
Yep. That could be a
We don't know
hot mess express.
because you have your black, which is negative, your red, which is power at key. When you turn the key on, your radio comes on. You have yellow, which is memory, and orange, which is a constant power, so that
That's
you
that
keep
big
the
old
memory
orange
in
Thing
the,
with the fuse right there.
right? Well, it's yellow here, but that doesn't mean somebody got a yellow wire and ran it all the way into the car.
No, it's probably a hack job mess.
So we have to double check to see if by some chance, whoever put the stereo in, and we don't know who,
Well,
tapped into one of the wires
Probably
or
late
added
90s,
to
so-
one of the wires to give power to the stereo and not to the factory stereo, to the aftermarket stereo, because we're getting feedback for the coil wire, because that's not supposed to be constant all the time. That's supposed to be off with the key. But we also, in one of the previous videos, showed you guys that the alternator gauge was not connected. Those two
ammeter,
lines, yeah,
No bueno.
those two lines are positive, and they're supposed to turn off with the regulator. So that tells us that the alternator was never really doing its job properly because part of the circuit was broken.
How did this thing charge?
I have no idea.
We don't know
Like,
at all.
It magically somehow worked before there was holes in the cylinders of the old motor. It worked. He drove it, and it ran halfway friggin' decent.
Yeah.
And that was like 3-4 years ago.
So we've got some electrical chasing to do. We don't know if the stereo is involved. We don't know. I'm not blaming anybody that did the stereo.
I mean, it was.
We
Probably
just
put in,
don't know.
It was probably put in decades ago at this
Oh,
point.
yeah.
I mean, back when Jordan and I and Stephanie were all in school.
Yeah,
They're a couple years older than me, but we were all kind of in school together.
right.
I remember seeing this car at school. God, thanks. That makes me feel old. I'm gonna go over here and change.
You're
my-
not that old. I don't want to
I'm
hear
gonna
it.
go change my Depends and get my cane.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're wearing Depends.
You know what?
Ooh, but I'm bumped. Okay, but on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of chasing to do. We're getting ready to disconnect the electrical portion of the ignition switch and start testing lines. Once that's disconnected, I'll put the ground back down on the battery and we can start checking each individual connection going into the ignition switch. If we get positive feedback on one other line, which we know we're supposed to, we're fine. If we get positive feedback on any of the other lines, we know we need to start chasing that line down and see where somebody tapped into it.
Yep.
So it's it is what it is. It's just going to take some time and we're getting it there. So, but on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys on the next one.